What's up, everybody? This is Dr. Zeb, and welcome to the Rehab Christian Center Tuesday night virtual experience. I am grateful to be here with you tonight, and certainly so glad that you have chosen to tune in with us and share with us. Man, we have really been on one the last couple of weeks. It has been two very powerful parallel series going on Tuesdays, Life Study, Sunday mornings, and it's been a powerful time. And I'm excited tonight to share this with you. Part two of the consequences of excuses, right? The consequences of excuses. And this is going to be powerful. And I am just so glad that you've tuned in. So do me a favor, regardless of the network that you're on, let's go ahead and get the views up. Let's get the likes up. I want you to start liking the video, sharing the video, tagging people. Make sure you say good evening in the comment area, regardless of the platform that you're tuning in on. Make sure you say good evening in the comment area, and then hit that @ symbol, start tagging people and inviting people to come on and be with us on tonight. Life study is not a very long night, but it's a very powerful one. We hit it quick and we hit it hard. And I'm excited to be here with you tonight and so grateful that you've tuned in. So again, start liking this video, sharing this video, tagging as many people as you can, telling them to tune in because I want to get started in about 2 minutes. I've got to finish this series tonight. It's only going to be a 2-part series. Last week was just really profound, and we didn't even get beyond last week. We didn't get beyond the introduction of this message last week. But again, it's been like this the last couple of weeks. Solid teaching, if I must say so myself, the last couple of weeks. And tonight's not going to be an exception. I'm going to give you 3 reasons why people make excuses, and it's going to be powerful. And this is going to be, again, just one of those series that you can really apply to your life in a very practical way. So again, start saying good evening in the chat area, start tagging people, inviting people. Let's get the likes up. Let's get the views up. And we're going to get started here in about 90 seconds. Facebook, good evening to you. It's good to see you virtually. Those of you that are tuned in via Facebook, oh wow, the logo's missing. Those of you that are tuned in via Facebook, thank you so much for tuning in. If you are on Facebook, I want you to like this video. If you really enjoy our broadcast, our ministry, I want you to hit that like button down, hold it, turn it to a love button, hit the @ symbol, and tag 5 of your greatest friends and tell them to tune in tonight. And then hit that share button as well and do the same. I want you to tag this video, share this video with as many people as you can. Tell them to tune in. Maybe you've got a friend, a family member, a loved one who majors in excuse making. I need you to invite them tonight. They're going to get a lot out of this. And just as I said on Sunday about part 2's message Sunday, if you did not watch part 1, go back and binge watch it. You're going to need it because it really laid a great foundation. We talked a lot about ownership, and we're going to talk a little bit about this tonight for reason number 3, because reason number 3 of why people make excuses and ownership really have a close connection with one another. They're like first cousins, and it'll make sense in a second. But again, I want you to tag 5 people, tell them to tune in, and let them know the Rehab Christian Center is on the air. Instagram. Good evening to you. Those of you that are tuned in via Instagram, welcome to the Rehab Christian Center Tuesday night life study experience. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you fill it up with hearts. Let me know you are watching. And also, if you're on Instagram, I want you to hit that @ symbol, tag 5 friends, tell them to tune in. And also make sure you say good evening in the chat area. We always like to try to acknowledge that. And we don't want you to come to church and not speak. So good evening to you. Those of you that are tuned in via Instagram. As we all know, Instagram's our late church, but they will be here eventually. But we want to get right into this message tonight. I've got a hard stop tonight. And so I want to get right into this because I've got to finish, but I want to take my time, if that makes sense. All right. So I'm in a hurry, but I want to take my time. And so I'm grateful to be here on time with you tonight. And again, Instagram, thank you so much for tuning in. Share this video now, and let's get more people on the call. YouTube, good evening to you. Those of you that are tuned in via YouTube, thank you so much for joining us. If you're on YouTube, make sure you like our channel, subscribe to our channel. Like this video, but subscribe to our channel. Hit that bell notification icon as well, so that you can be notified every time we go live. And then I want you to share this video as well. Make sure you say good evening in the comment area on YouTube. And then I want you to also share this video as well. Share it to your other social media networks. If you're still on email and you don't use social media, and YouTube is the only way that you tune in, I want you to hit that share button, hit email, and type their email address in. It doesn't matter. I want you to share this video tonight. This is going to be powerful. We are talking about part two. I'm going to give you part two tonight of the consequences of excuses. All right, part two. It is the final part of this two-part series, and I'm excited to teach this tonight. Well, I got 7:14. I got to get going. I'm excited to teach. I'm stoked to teach. Start sharing the video if you have not already. Let's get right into it. And whoever jumps in tonight is going to get exactly what they need. And we're good to go either way. Let's roll. Part two of the consequences of excuses. Now, I want you to type that in the comments if you have not already. Tonight's subject, the consequences of excuses. This is again part two, the consequences of excuses, part two. I want you to type it in there. And as I mentioned earlier, we talked last week about the power of ownership, right? And owning what it is that is your life, and owning the things that happen in your life, and owning the circumstances that are in your life, right? Ownership is so powerful because at the end of the day, people who do not own their lives, who do not own the things that happen in their lives, for good, bad, ugly, or indifferent, people who don't operate in ownership in their lives will always be folks who live in the space called excuse. And one of the things I was telling some of my team members at work recently is that I don't do everything right as a supervisor, as a manager, leading a department. I don't do everything right. But one of the things I am great at doing, and that is owning my stuff, right? When, people, for some odd reason, people feel like they have to be perfect. They have to do everything well. And then when they fall short, that they cannot, with their falling short, have the humility to own it, right? And I've discovered that people, whether you are a leader, you're leading your family, you're leading a place of work, you're leading in a relationship, you're a part of a relationship, you're leading your children, whatever. Whether you're leading or not, or don't know if you're leading, don't feel like you're leading. Ownership really is the factor that will keep you afloat when you make mistakes. I want you to record that. Ownership is what keeps you afloat when you make mistakes. Come on. Ownership. I need all 10 of you, 15 of you that are on tonight. I want you to record this. You'll be the smartest person at the water cooler all week long. Ownership is really the thing that keeps you afloat when you make mistakes. Ownership. It's ownership. So when you make mistakes, when you do things wrong, when you are in error, and you will be, when you don't do things the best all the time, and you won't always do things the best, it is ownership that really keeps you afloat, right? It is what keeps you afloat when you're in error, when you make mistakes. And see, people don't realize that the quickest way to move beyond an error, to move beyond a mistake, to move beyond something that went wrong in your life is to fully own it. Okay? To fully own it, not partially own it, not dance around it while you own it, but to fully own it, right? I'll give you an example, and it's a lot in social media right now. I'm not going to deal with that on this church network. I might deal with it a little bit on my channel, but probably not a lot. I will just say this: there's a lot floating around about people who apologize for things, and I was reminded of how I grew up, and I've said this ad nauseum, so many of you already know this. My PhD work is in generational studies, and I truly believe that the generations are so different, right? Lord, I'm having a brain freeze. Boomers, Gen X's, Gen Y's, Gen Z's, millennials. Everybody is just so different, and part of that is connected to how people were raised, and the way people were taught, with, frankly, how they were responsible for their lives. Take apologizing, for example, right? I was laughing because somebody sent me a clip or something. We kind of had a back and forth about it. He saw it one way, I saw it another way. But my explanation was really this. I remember being a little kid, and I wonder if any of you can relate to this. Being a kid, when you did something wrong, number one, they rarely had to ask you to apologize. And if they had to ask you to apologize, you probably got popped in the mouth, after they asked you. Okay. Again, I know social services, social workers, y'all don't believe in that stuff anymore. That's fine. All right. I'm just talking about the way I was raised. All right. You grew up, you did something wrong, you offended somebody, you knew you did it. They didn't have to say, well, Zeb, you're going to apologize. You knew off the bat you had to apologize. Right. So you apologize quickly. And then here's the kicker, though. Here's the kicker. I want you to listen to me. Right. Here's the kicker. When you apologize and your parents were around, what did they say? They weren't allowed to just say, I'm sorry, or I apologize. You couldn't do that. Because if you did that, your parent, your guardian, whoever was around you, when you said, I'm sorry, they would ask you what you're sorry for. See, this old school teaching right here, right? What you sorry for? And so if you offended Johnny, if you accidentally hit Johnny, if you accidentally knocked Johnny down, if you took something from Johnny, you did something wrong to Johnny or Susie, and you apologize, they would say, okay, what you sorry for? And they would force you to give the details of the offense. Why? Because recounting the details of the offense moves you to the space of ownership. These messages are always golden when it be like 12 people long. Just listen to me. Recounting the details of the offense moves you towards ownership. Ownership doesn't happen on the periphery. Ownership doesn't happen on the borders. Ownership happens when you give the details of the offense, the details of the transgression, the details of the error, the details of the shortcoming. Now, I know we don't believe in confession in church, right? The Bible, in fact, tells us we confess our faults to one another. Now, the Bible challenges us to confess our faults to God, but it also challenges us to confess our faults to one another. And this doesn't mean in the context, and I don't want to get too sidetracked here. I could really talk about this for hours tonight. Hours. I could do it for hours. I don't want to get sidetracked here, but I want you to listen to me. That verse is powerful. Confessing our faults to one another is really about moving us when we offend people. And tonight's message isn't about offending people. I'm just using this as an example. When we are offensive to people, or we offend people, confessing our faults to them is about moving the offender to a place called ownership. And the only way you can truly own anything is by knowing the details. Let's take that example further, right? So we talked about ownership in the context of an apology. When we were kids, we offended somebody. I don't let kids, my kids say, hey, I'm sorry. No, you got to say what you're sorry for, right? Because that's what really brings you down to ownership. But let's take it a step further, right? Because you can't own anything without the details. Let me ask y'all a question. How many of you have ever made a major purchase? I ain't talking about buying a piece of candy. I ain't talking about for some of you buying clothes, though I do this when I buy clothes. I'm not talking about, buying for some of you some food or whatever from a restaurant, even though I do this there too. How many of you have made a major purchase in your life without digging into the details of what you purchased? Right? It doesn't happen. Right? If you're going to buy a car, you're going to buy a house, if you're going to buy anything significant in your life, you normally want to dig into the details of what you're buying. Why? Because you want to see if what you're investing in is worth what you're paying for. And you can't make the determination. Listen to me. Yes, I want to own this if I don't understand the details of what I'm owning. Is this making sense to anybody besides me? Right? So you don't arrive to the place where you say, I want to own this house until you do what? You walk around the house get details of the house. You see the things that you like. You see the blemishes in the house. You start to count the costs for the things that you're going to have to upgrade, adjust, etc. Why? Because no man, the Bible tells us, no man builds a building without first counting the cost. The same thing applies when it comes to owning things in your life. You don't own things without coming into an understanding of the details, because it is when we come into the understanding of the details that we then become comfortable saying, we own this. And listen again, I don't own anything. I am not fully aware of the details concerning that thing. So when we think about ownership in the context of knowing the details, you own a car before you buy it. You learn about the specs of a car before you own a house. Before you buy it, you learn the specs about buying a house, right? Ownership details, you got to have it, right? We think about that example in the context of owning things before we make excuses in our lives. The same thing applies. You can't own anything in your life without diving into the details of what you're trying to own, right? So if there are areas of your life, and this is important, listen to me. If there are areas in your life that you are trying to improve and make better, let me tell you the first step of doing it. The first step to being able to improve those areas of your life that you are trying to make better is to get comfortable in the details of why it's not good. It's to get comfortable in the details of why it's not good. I hope I'm not talking over y'all's head tonight. But listen to me. Is to get comfortable in the details of why that thing is not good. Why? Because you truly can't solve a problem that you don't own the details of. Right? Parenting. This also happens in this regard, right? I'm just giving you all examples so this makes sense. If you're a parent and a kid wants you to solve a problem, you would be a crazy parent. Now, granted, let me put a little pin here because there's some pretty silly, ridiculous parents. Today's parents, they just don't make parents the same anymore. You know, it's nothing more nerve-wracking. I work in a college, okay? And even at a college, I've had parents call me with concerns about their kids, and they called me trying to solve it. And then I would have to say, ma'am, sir, do you realize this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened? And then they were like, no, I have an idea. I didn't even ask. Why? How you going to solve a problem you don't have the details to? Right? It's just a different generation of parents. But I would hope as a parent, you don't try to solve your kids' problems without doing what? Asking a lot of questions. Why? Because you need to know the details. My kids do it. You know, things happen to them, they get upset about something, and they real on edge. They tell me they want daddy to do something about it. Before I move, I start hitting them with questions. Well, what happened? Why'd they do this? What happened before that? Why? Because I can't solve a problem. I can't own a problem that I don't know the details of. And listen, many of you have been trying to solve problems in your life without first getting comfortable with the details of those problems. Man, this is so good. Many of you have been attempting to solve problems in your life without first getting comfortable with the details of that problem. Now, let me give you an example that might hit home. I do a lot of counseling and coaching, and I talk to a lot of people who have issues in relationships. People keep tugging on me, wanting me to do talks about relationships. I don't know why. I have not deemed myself a relationship guru. I enjoy talking about relationships. It's something I understand well. I have not always had successful relationships, right? But people always want me to coach them and counsel them on that stuff. And one of the things I will tell you is this, you know, at the end of the day, I've done coaching and counseling with people who say have intimacy problems, right? They have problems being intimate with their partner. And I don't mean just in a physical sense. I mean mentally connecting with them, emotionally connecting with them, spiritually connected with them, right? Connecting with them. And they'll say, you know, Dr. Zeb, I want to fix my intimacy issues with my partner, with my husband, my wife, my spouse, my boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. I want to fix it. And I say that's commendable, but let me start asking some questions about why those issues are there, and let's dig to it. That's what they want to fix, but you can't fix that until you get to the root of why the problem is there. And sometimes that root looks like things like molestation. Sometimes that root looks like things like not having your parents around and your parents not raising you, or being a female and having an absent father, or being a man and having an absent father. Being a female, having an absent mother, right? Sometimes the root of the problem that you're trying to solve really pulls out of the dirt some details that you got to swallow in order to resolve the problem. Is this making sense, y'all? And so if you don't do that, what will happen is you'll be in relationships and you will blame challenges. And I'm just using this as an example. This is just an example, y'all. You will blame challenges, say with intimacy, right? Again, more than just physical intimacy, right? You will blame challenges with intimacy on the other person. That's an excuse. Or you will blame challenges with intimacy on not trusting people. That might be partially true, but it's more of an excuse. Why? Because you got to go deeper than that, right? I learned this somewhere, and I cannot remember the guy who came up with this. I put it in my journal. This was months ago. Let me help y'all get to the bottom of things. If you want to learn how to own things in your life, I want y'all to remember this technique. I'm giving this to y'all for free. My sessions, I charge a couple $100s an hour for my session. I do. My time is very valuable. Now, I'm giving this to y'all for free. It works. If you want to get to the root of anything you're trying to solve in your life, I want you to ask yourself the question, why, 3 times. This is free. Listen to me. So all 20 of you that are tuned in are going to get this tonight. The quickest way to get to the bottom of anything you're trying to solve in your life that you have questions about, that you're trying to dig deeper into so that you don't make excuses, but you can deal with the root of what it is, the details of what it is so that you move forward. Ask why 3 times. Let me give you an example. Zaya, I had this conversation with somebody Sunday. Zaya, I want to put mayonnaise on your sandwich. And if my response to that person is, well, I don't like mayonnaise. If they want to get to the root of why I don't like mayonnaise, their response should be, why? Then I can say, well, I don't really like the taste of mayonnaise. Why? Just doesn't, I don't like the creamy texture of it. I don't like the smell of it. Why? Well, when I grew up, I used to always see people pile it on their sandwiches and it looked nasty and gross. Plus, I didn't like the taste of it. So I never really wanted to deal with it. I might eat it from time to time, but I don't really like to deal with it. So is it that I really don't like mayonnaise? No. It's that I had a bad experience as a young child. Bad experience as a young child seeing people just slop mayonnaise on their sandwich. And then when I taste it, it didn't taste the best. So it's just something that I've always avoided. Does that make sense? When you ask why and keep asking why, you eventually get to the root of the issue. Man, this is so much better than y'all say. And this applies, I'm using mayonnaise. It's a silly example, but this applies to any area of your life, serious or not serious. If you've got serious things in your life that you can't fix, problems, challenges that you can't fix, that you seem like you are going in circles with, sit down and start asking yourself why. And for most people, all it takes is about 3 whys. For some of you, until you get comfortable being honest about your situation, it may take more whys, but I'm telling you, if you continue to ask yourself why, an easy one is this: attitude. Oh man, I can't tell you the number of people I've counseled and coached who said, you know, Dr. Zeb, I got a horrible attitude. I'm really trying to work on my demeanor disposition. I want to be a better mother. I want to be a better father. I want to be a better manager. How can I fix it? And I'll ask them. First question, why do you have a bad attitude? I don't know. I don't know is not an acceptable answer. Why do you think you have a bad attitude? Sometimes I feel like I get up on the wrong side of the bed wrong. Why? Well, I feel like I get up on the wrong side of the bed because I don't get a lot of sleep. Why? You keep asking why. When you keep asking why, you dig, and all the details become revealed. And then all of a sudden, you realize that every time you ask why, you eliminate an excuse. Man, this is good to me. So I want y'all to remember the 3 why technique. If you really want to take ownership of the things in your life that are not working, you got to get comfortable asking yourself why. And this is something that I do in my personal life. This is something that I've been doing for years, and especially over the last 2, 3 years, when things haven't worked well or didn't click the way I wanted to. Why is that? Why didn't it work? Well, this happened. Why? And over time, you become trained to be able to skip the whys. When I first started doing it, I would have to ask myself why 5 or 6 times because I really didn't want to get to the root. Now I go right for the gusto. I ain't no need. It probably take me 1, maybe 2 whys to get to the bottom of it. Why? Because when you really want to own things, you don't waste time. All right. So I want you to remember that 3 why technique. It'll help you. Sorry for the sidebar, but it was necessary. Now, I'm gonna give you 3 reasons why people make excuses quickly, and I'm done. This is blessing you. I want you to like this video. I want you to share it with someone. I want you to tag someone, tell them to tune in. They got about 20 more minutes to catch this word tonight. And I'm really enjoying this. I hope you are as well. Let me know if you are. All right, 3 reasons why. I want you to record this. 3 reasons why people make excuses. Now, obviously, let me say this as a caveat. Obviously, there are more reasons than 3 why people make excuses, okay? So there are more reasons than 3. But I'm giving you these 3 because in my work with people, coaching with people, counseling with people, I've discovered that these 3 things, and even in my own personal experiences, frankly, these 3 reasons tend to be the main reasons why, 3 of the main reasons, I should say. 3 of the main reasons why people often live in this space called excuse. Here's the reason number 1. Reason number 1, fear. Reason number 1 is fear. F-E-A-R, fear. People tend to make excuses out of fear. Fear. Fear of what? Well, fear of revealing deficiencies. Fear of feeling like they're not good enough and having to admit that. Fear, and this is a big one, fear of failure. A whole lot of people not going back to school, not because they ain't smart enough. They're not going back to school because they're afraid that if they don't do well, people are going to say something. Or they're afraid that if they go back to school, they're not going to do good. You're too old, so you ain't going to do good. You're not going to do good in your classes. You're not going to be able to write papers anymore, right? So a lot of people aren't going back to school because they fear they're not going to do well in school. A lot of people are not starting businesses. Why? Because they feel they're going to fear they're going to fail. They fear their idea is not good enough, right? Right. So a lot of people make excuses not to take action on their lives, take actions on the nuances of their lives out of fear, right? And fear is one of those emotions that has the potential to not only paralyze you in the present, but keep you from moving forward to your future. Fear, I want you to record this. Fear will paralyze you in the present and keep you from moving to the future. Fear will paralyze you in the present and keep you from moving to the future. Fear will paralyze you in the present and keep you from moving in the future. That's fear's job. Being fearful ain't about being right. Being fearful is about keeping you where you are. Man, are y'all listening to the old man tonight? Being fearful is not about being right. The devil doesn't use fear in your life so that you can be right. He uses fear to keep you where you are. That's all fear is designed to do. And so fear will paralyze you in the present and it will keep you from moving forward into your future. So you got to be careful with fear. We oftentimes disguise our unwillingness to try something, to do something, to make a tough decision. And this is really big with hard decisions. I'm going to tell you, I can tell you from personal experience, I can tell you from countless coaching. A lot of people don't make tough decisions in their lives, not because they don't know they don't need to make the decision. They don't make the decision because they are fearful of the consequences, right? They are fearful of the unknown. That's a big one. People don't make decisions because they're fearful of the unknown. If I do this, what's going to happen here? If I decide to do this, how am I going to do this? And you allow the what ifs, the how could I's, the how am I's, the how would I's. You allow those things to do what? To paralyze you in the present. I'm telling y'all, man, I'm teaching better than y'all saying amen. You have to be careful with that. That's fear's job. It is designed to keep you paralyzed in the present. And we tend to make excuses in our lives when we only think about the what ifs. We tend to make excuses in our lives when we allow the what ifs, the would have, should have, could have, whatever, to keep us from moving, to keep us from action. I've discovered this in your life. There are going to be some problems you're going to solve. There are going to be some problems you're up against. You're not going to have the answer to. But listen to me. Sometimes you got to move and start moving and figure it out while you move. Because sometimes it's better for you to take steps and figure it out than to stand still and do nothing. Are y'all listening to me? Right? In the business world, we call this an analogy I give my team all the time. And I've had to do that a lot for this last job that I've taken. I call it building the plane while you fly it, right? It's the whole idea that I got to go somewhere, and the only way I'm going to get there is by doing something. And I might not know everything I need to do, but I've got to take action, right? I've got to do something. And so when you allow fear to grip you, fear will keep you present, and it'll say things like, well, I don't know what to do, so I don't need to be doing that right now. Let me hold tight until I figure it out, or and listen, hear me. There are times and spaces where that's appropriate, right? I'm not suggesting, I don't want y'all to misunderstand me tonight. I'm not suggesting that everything that happens to you, you just gotta automatically move and do something and just be doing, and you don't know I'm not suggesting that. But for a large part, a lot of times you're gonna deal with things where, let me take that back. A lot of times, not a large part. A lot of times you're going to deal with things where an action is going to be needed for you in order to see some results, in order to get out of a position, out of a situation. And standing still just won't be the option, but you won't have all the answers when you move forward. And that's okay. You got to do it in the dark, do it anyway. You got to do it blindfolded, do it anyway. You got to do it with all the answers, without all the answers, do it anyway. If you got to do it with more questions than you do have answers, do it anyway. Right? There's some things you just got to do anyway. And if we don't adopt that mentality, we will allow the circumstances that hit us to keep us paused in the present. All right? Is this making sense to anybody? All right. So the number one, one reason why people make excuses, fear. Number two, second reason why people make excuses is doubt. Doubt. I may have said this Sunday. I'll be honest with you. I've done so many presentations over the last 24, 48 hours. I am just mentally exhausted. And I've got several more this week. So I said this to somebody. I can't remember who it was, but I said it to somebody. And I will say it again tonight. Let me tell you something. It don't matter who believe in you if you don't believe in yourself. And a lot of people live in excuse because they are their biggest detractor from obtaining all of their goals, from being everything that they want to be, from accomplishing everything they want to accomplish. Let me tell you something. When you doubt yourself and you doubt your abilities and you doubt that things are going to be okay and you doubt that things are going to work out, doubt will literally, much like fear, keep you paralyzed, keep you on the sideline, keep you from taking risks, keep you from taking chances, keep you from believing in yourself, keep you from betting on yourself. And let me tell you something. I said it again to somebody. I can't remember who it was, but I will say it again. It don't matter how much people believe in you either. I'm going to say this loud and clear because there are a lot of talented people that tune in, a part of this broadcast every week, a part of our ministry. A lot of talented people that do a lot of great things. Let me tell you something. At the end of the day, if you don't believe in you, it don't matter what I think about you. Good, bad, ugly, indifferent. It don't matter. If you don't believe in you, then what I think about you is irrelevant. It's irrelevant because at the end of the day, I can push you, I can prod you, I can encourage you, I can gas you up, I can do all of this stuff. But if you don't see in yourself what other people see in you, you will live a life filled with excuses. And you will look at circumstances as reasons why you can't do what you do, right? I know what it's like. I've believed in people. I pushed people to start businesses, go to school that didn't have the financial resources, just had a business plan and a dream, didn't have no connections, and pushed them out there. And they didn't see it at the time, but you could see the potential all over them. And when a person you do that for sees the potential in themselves, they'll move blindly beyond the circumstances. They'll move blindly beyond the things that are against them. But if you try to push a person like that, that has all of these challenges against them, and they don't see what you see, good luck. They ain't going nowhere. They ain't going nowhere. And I'm just going to take it a step further. Many of us have literally burned ourselves out trying to push people who didn't want to go. Trying to push people in spaces that they didn't even feel like they belonged. Trying to encourage people to do stuff that they didn't even feel like they could do themselves. Trying to motivate people to start businesses that they didn't even feel like they had the genius to do themselves. And so I don't care if you are a master motivator, a master teacher, a master encourager, and many of us are. You can only encourage, motivate, push, and teach people to the extent that they are ready to see it or able to see it themselves. It's just what it is, y'all. It's just what it is. And you can't tire yourself out. You can't tire yourself out trying to push and motivate people to see beyond their circumstance, right? Because that's all doubt is. Doubt is nothing more than living in a space where your circumstance is greater than your belief. Whoa. Whoa. Doubt is moving in a space, y'all record this, where your circumstances become greater than your belief. I love studying. When you study and just nuggets just come to you. Did y'all hear what I said? I need you to record that. Doubt is moving in a space where your circumstances become greater than your belief. Anytime you allow circumstances to become greater than what you believe, you are operating in doubt. Every time. Every time. So you can see the best in people. You can see greatness in people. But people have to be able to see it themselves to see real results. People have to be able to embrace it themselves in order to have real results, right? And that's oftentimes a reason why people make excuses. They look at circumstances, they look at predicaments that are against them, and they allow the circumstances to become greater than what they believe, and they use that as a crutch to not take action, to not move forward, to not start the business, to not make the decision. And along the lines of decisions, I will say this, especially in this decision-making game, and I thought about starting another series on decision-making perhaps this summer. It's, summer's out, weather's getting hot, sun's out, buns out, hot girl summer, all this stuff. And I thought about doing a series on decision-making so that we can all remain sober as outside opens up more and people are just out and about. But one of the things that you got to know about decision-making is that sometimes no decision is a decision. And that's for all of you that allow your circumstances to paralyze you, that allow your circumstances to cause you to move in doubt. Sometimes no decision is a decision. In other words, when you don't act, you have sometimes made a decision by your decision not to act. Does this make sense? Right? And doubt tends to be that place where we allow circumstances to keep us still, right? Circumstances to keep us from believing what we should believe, knowing what we should know, operating the way we should operate. This is so important, okay? Right? And so you want to make sure that you don't do that. Here's the third and final reason I want to give you of why people make excuses. And I can do a whole series on this one too. And that third and final reason is what I call accountability issues. Accountability issues. To me, one of the biggest reasons why people make excuses is because they suck at holding themselves accountable. They suck at holding themselves accountable. Because here's the thing, y'all, where there is no accountability, there will always be an excuse. I want you to record it now. You're going to be the smartest person at the water cooler all week. Where there is no accountability, there is always an excuse. Where there is no accountability, there is always an excuse. Let me tell you something. This is where I've always lived my life, especially in The corporate world, the business world. You can ask my supervisors, ask my current supervisor. One thing they're going to tell you about Zeb, they're going to say one thing about Zeb is that when he does something wrong, he'll tell you. When he was off, he'll tell you. He owns it. Because I'm telling you, where there is no accountability, there's always an excuse. There is always an excuse. And a lot of people are living in excuses and living beneath where they could live, doing beneath what they could do, being beneath who they could be, because they don't want to hold themselves accountable. They don't want to hold themselves accountable. And accountability is personal responsibility. Ownership, accountability, responsibility. Those are three words that kind of work in this dynamic with one another. Ownership, accountability, responsibility, accountability, ownership. The three words that really work hand in hand with one another. And people who don't want to own it, who don't want to be accountable, tend to always operate in excuse. And the easiest way to be accountable is to be honest. It's to be honest. Another way people fail with accountability oftentimes is feedback as well. This generation doesn't do well with feedback. And I don't have time to deal with this tonight, but let me just say, this generation just doesn't deal well with feedback. They don't take criticism well. They don't take correction well. And the Bible tells us we can't handle chastisement. We're bastards, not sons. The Bible says that, right? Part of sonship, right? Part of your children, if you've got children, part of your children being able to enjoy the fruits of your success, your hard work, you paying the bills, putting food in the house. Part of the deal, whether you realize it or not, part of the deal is their ability to take your correction. Y'all don't like this, man. Oh man, sometimes I just wonder if I just missed it. Maybe I missed God. I don't know. Are y'all listening to me? Part of it is it's being able to take correction, right? The exchange is you live in my house, you can take my correction. And people really struggle today with correction. People don't want to hear what they're not doing well. People don't want to hear where they can do better. People don't want to hear that doing your best is an excuse. They don't want to hear that. People don't want to take personal accountability. Again, is taking personal responsibility. People don't want to own that. People would rather you tell them what they want to hear rather than you tell them what they need to hear. And this is a sign of the times we're in. And it's all biblical. The Bible says that there will come a day where people would not be able to endure sound doctrine. Y'all don't like this teaching tonight. Now I feel like running around here on a Tuesday. Hey, Yamil, I feel like running around here on a Tuesday. The Bible says that we're in the last days, people would not be able to handle and absorb sound doctrine. We're in that day. And it's more than this, just the church. People not taking sound doctrine in the church. Some of your friends can't take your honesty. Some of y'all got the wrong friends. And the way I know you got the wrong friends is because when you tell them the truth, they get pissed. When you tell them the truth, they stop talking to you for 2 weeks. When you tell them they need to do better, they start getting weird and quiet. I'm telling you, man, I have lived in this space for so long, and I'm gonna tell you, it annoys me as a leader. I'm gonna be honest with you, it annoys me. That nothing makes my heart rejoice more than when I correct someone as a leader at rehab or as a leader in my job, wherever. When I have to correct someone and be honest with them about what they're not doing and tell them what needs to be done, and they take it like a G, nothing makes my heart feel better. Because that's always a sign that somebody wants to personally be responsible for their lives. And this is something I've always done. I don't know if my parents are on the call tonight, but my dad will tell you. He will tell you this. I served my dad for many years. Many years. My dad was my AAU basketball coach. He was my 7th and 8th grade basketball coach. He was my 9th through 12th grade track coach. He was my 9th grade honors geography teacher. He oversaw gospel choir when I played in gospel choir. My daddy's been in my face all my life. Okay, for good and for bad and for ugly. He's been in my face. And one of the things he will tell you that I've always done as a kid is I've owned it. When you own what you do and don't do, you got to realize that is the quickest path to growth. Excuses creates a longer period of time for you to get to your destination. Ownership, accountability helps you to get there faster. Taking personal responsibility. When he asked me, Zeb, did you do this? I wouldn't be like, no, I didn't do that. No. He would ask me and I'd be like, yes, sir, I did it. I did that. This is what I did. And I apologize. Would he still be upset, pissed sometimes? Absolutely. But owning it, taking personal responsibility for it, showed him that I wanted to grow, that I wanted to be better. And people really struggle here. People are really not doing the right things, not living the life they could live, not being the people they could be, not handling the responsibilities they're supposed to handle, not because they can't, but because they are unwilling to take personal responsibility for what they're not doing, for what they won't do, for what they have not done. And I'm telling y'all, you will never grow living in that space. Shell, they ain't like that. I know it. Y'all awfully quiet tonight. All 22, 23 of you. Y'all awfully quiet tonight. But it's the truth. You ain't going to grow until you take personal responsibility. You're not going, and the only way you're going to take personal responsibility and personal accountability or personal responsibility is by being comfortable with the truth. Being comfortable with the truth. Right? And so people make excuses when they don't take accountability. People live in the space of not owning what things be, not accountable for what they are. When they're not accountable for who they are, when they're not accountable for who they are not, people end up living in this stuck space. And I want to challenge y'all tonight, right? You can't operate in fear, can't operate in doubt, but you also can't, you got to operate in personal responsibility. You got to be responsible for the stuff that you're not doing. You got to be responsible for the things you could do better. You got to be responsible for the places you fall short, and stop pointing the finger. Stop. Oh, and this is the big, oh, I would do this if such and such did that. Or if this was that, I would do that. Yeah. Excuses. Excuses. That's all. It's excuses. Y'all don't like to hear this, but it's excuses. Stop making excuses. You know, outside's opening back up. With Dr. Zip, I would go to church. Now the outside's open back up. But on Sundays, I have to watch Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, whatever. That ghetto show. I gotta watch that. Whatever it is. People come up with excuses not to do what they don't want to do. And they tend to do that when they don't want to take personal responsibility or accountability. You got to operate out of that space. You got to move out of that space. You got to move out of that space. And I'm telling y'all from personal experience, when you learn to own it, when you learn to take personal responsibility for the things that go well, personal responsibility for the things that don't go well, personal responsibility for the things you do, personal responsibility for the things you don't do, you will find yourself living a far more productive life. In fact, not only will you live a productive life, I'll take it a step further. You are taking accountability for stuff that wasn't even really your fault. I was sharing this with a buddy of mine a couple of weeks ago, a good friend and a mentor of mine, who's just sharing with him some frustrations about some stuff and things that have happened, and just sharing with him some frustrations about some things are not working, people not doing certain things or whatever. And I told him, I said, but I take accountability for it. I could have done better, made well enough, or I didn't do that enough. And he stopped me. He said, Zeb, I got to commend you. He said, because most people in your position who have things that you have done and do the things would not take responsibility for somebody else's behavior. And I had to say to him, I get that, but when you're in that space of understanding the power of personal responsibility, when you even own things that are you find yourself reaping rewards that you probably shouldn't have even been able to reap. In other words, you are reaping the blessings of other people by reaping sometimes yourself. I'm probably not explaining it well, right? But there's just something powerful about taking personal accountability. And this is even more heightened. I'm especially talking to all you leaders. Those of you that are leaders, want to be leaders, this is a very important lesson, because when you're leading an organization, I lead a church, I lead a department at work, I'm leading 2 children, whatever capacity. This is important for leaders where you're in. One of the most powerful traits you can have as a leader is accountability. And oftentimes, when it comes to accountability as a leader, you are oftentimes things from people that people did that you did not do, but you oversaw it, right? You were leading it. You were the head honcho, right? And so part of leadership from a CEO or leader or whatever you are at the top is owning the mistakes of the janitor, owning the mistakes of people whose work that you're doing, but that work is happening under your lead. That's next level of ownership. And this is how I know a lot of people aren't ready to be leaders, not because you don't have ability, but because you have not figured out the beauty of owning it. When you are a leader, sometimes you're going to own stuff you did. Watch this. Sometimes you're going to find yourself owning stuff you didn't do. Gosh, is this making sense to anybody? Listen, I'm done. I'm out of time. I ain't out of word. I wish I had about 15 minutes tonight. I'm serious. Sometimes as a leader, you're starting your business, you got a business and you're working on things, and you're starting to bring in employees, or maybe you don't have employees at all. And things go great, you want to take that credit. When things go bad, you got to take that too. You got to take that too. You can't just take the good day. You got to take it when it goes bad as well. You want to own the glory days, you got to take the struggle days too. That's called accountability. And that's what real leaders do. That's what people who are out front, we're trying to be examples, we're trying to pull others along. That's what they do. And it's painful. Sometimes you're going to lay down crying, you're going to folk out. Why? Because you owning things that you didn't do, but then you realize the greater picture is, I'm still accountable for this. I still have to take responsibility for this. Right? And that's the difference between folks who say they want to lead and people who are actually leaders. Right? I like that, Brother Marco. He said a leader takes all of the blame and none of the credit. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's what leaders do. Right? And they are comfortable in that accountability space. Listen, y'all, I'm done. I need you to do me a favor. I need you to type your prayer request. I'm over. I had a hard stop. I'm going to be late for my next call. It's all good. But I need you to type in your prayer request really quickly in the comments. I want to pray for you every morning, 4:30 in the morning. Get up, pray over your prayer request. And I want to pray for you this week. If this message blessed you, listen, I want you to type in your prayer request right now. Maybe you're watching the replay and this blessing was a blessing to you. Go ahead and type it in the comments. Put it in the comments of the video now. I'll go back. I'll make sure I review it. I'll pray over your situation. Pray over the thing concerning your life, that God will continue to make prayers for you. Listen, if you can't read, if you've got a prayer request we can't see, you can email your prayer request to info@rehabcc.org. info@rehabcc. Email your prayer request there, and I will see your prayer request and put it in the subject line prayer request. It will come routed to me, my email address, respond to your prayer request, let you know that I'm praying for you. All right, so you can email your prayer request to info@rehabcc.org, and I would love to see it there. But listen, I want you to type in your thank you, Yamil. I'm starting to see them coming in. I want you to type in your prayer request because I pray for you all week long, that God still answers prayers, that the effectual fervent prayer of the righteous still works. And we want you to know that we are praying for you tonight. All right, listen, let's pray. Connect your sign. of faith. Good. I'm starting to see prayer requests coming. Sister Sarita, wherever you are, I want you to type in your prayer request tonight. Connect your hands like this as a sign of similar faith. After you type in you to join in on this prayer, we're going to pray over your request. We're going to sow a quick seed and we're going to be done tonight. All right. Let's pray. Father, in Jesus' name, thank you tonight for your word. Thank you tonight for this time you've given us. I pray along the realm of excuses that will cause us to not operate in that space called excuse, to realize that fear, doubt, accountability are the enemies of growth in our lives. We don't want to be stagnant in our lives. We want to always grow forward, progress forward, to be the best versions of us you have, in fact, called us to be. I pray now, God, right now, for every prayer request that's typed in the podcast, that's been typed during the replay, that's in our inboxes, that right now, God, you would answer the prayers of your people as only you can, that you would make ways as only you can, that you would meet needs as only you can, that you would fix situations as only you can. Here's my prayer, God, that you would allow us to trust you while you work things out for us. Matters not the situation, family, career, circumstance, finances, money. Doesn't matter what the circumstance is. Help us, God, to learn how to wait on you. And while we wait, to wait patiently, to wait with joy, to wait with excitement, realizing that joy always shows up in the morning. Help us, God, to have morning experiences this week, not morning to cry, but mornings of excitement, realizing that you are still a prayer answering God, a miracle working God, a door opening God. Help us to trust you this week like never before. And God, we praise you in advance for a week that will be filled with miracles, that will be filled with open doors, made ways, met expectations, reveal promises in our lives. And God, we will not take the credit. We will not take the credit, but we'll give you all of the glory. It says, in all this and all things we ask and pray in Jesus' name. Amen. Do me a favor. You prayed with us tonight. I want you to type in the comments quickly. It is so. Hurry. It is so. It is so. Type it in the comments quickly. It is so. Every time you say amen, you are simply saying it is so. I want you to type it in the comments quickly. If you prayed that prayer of faith with us tonight, I want you to type it in the comments quickly. It is so. It is so. God's answering your prayers. He's making ways. He's opening doors. He's meeting needs in your life. Listen, if you want to give tonight, I want to challenge you to give. If this message, if this ministry has been a blessing to you tonight, I want to challenge you tonight to sow a seed into this ministry tonight. I want to challenge you to give your tithes, to sow an offering seed tonight. And I know that if you do that, God is going to in this way. You can't beat God's giving. I don't care how old-fashioned it sounds. I am a living witness that the more you give to God, the more he will give back to you. The more he will send people to give back to you because of the way you've given. You can give one of three ways tonight really quickly. You can give via CashAPP, $REHABCCGIVE. That's $REHABCCGIVE. You can give through our website, www.rehabcc.org, and simply choose online giving. You can text REHABWORKS to 336-642-3210. Again, those three ways you can give. CashAPP, $REHABCCGIVE. Website, www.rehabcc.org, and choose online giving. Or you can text REHABWORKS to 336-642-3210. You can give either one of those three ways, and we know God is going to bless you because of your giving. And tonight, we want to challenge you to do just that. Listen, y'all, I'm sorry for running over. I love y'all. I'm praying for y'all. I want you to like this video. I want you to share this video, subscribe to all three of our networks, and then make plans to meet me this Sunday. We are in part 3 this Sunday of our message Sunday, and that is the courage to break the cycle. We're in part 3. I got series all over the place, y'all, so I ain't forget. I'm literally doing 5 or 6 different things at a time as it relates to teaching. And so we're going to give you part 3 of the courage to break the cycle Sunday, and it's going to be powerful. It's been building every week, but man, I promise you, last week, week before last, have just been insane. I want you to make plans to meet us Sunday, 9:08 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Share this video with all of your friends, family members, and then make plans to join us then. All right. I love you guys. I'm praying for you all. I'm rooting for you. I want you to have a fantastic week, and I will see you Sunday at 9:08 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Peace and blessings.
For watching the Rehab Christian Center live experience. If this broadcast has been a blessing to you and you would like to be a blessing to our leader, Dr. Zeb Talley III, you can sow a seed into his ministry by CashAPP at $Pastor ZT3. It is our prayer that this message of hope encouraged, enlightened, and empowered you to be better. Please tune in Sunday at 9:08 a.m. for our Sunday morning experience. And as always, be blessed and have a wonderful week.